So today I want to talk about a photo editing tool called Imagen AI. This isn't designed necessarily for single photographs. And the reason for that is in order for you to build out your profile, let me start from the beginning. Imagen AI is a tool that takes the way you edit your photographs and applies them to a batch of uploaded photographs. In order to do it properly, it needs about 3,000 photographs to get trained. And as you can see, I've got one in here that's ready to use. I've got others that aren't ready to use yet because you have to have the large number of edited photographs for it to go in and learn how you do things. Once that's done, you can then have it edit your photographs. Now, the reason I don't think this is for single photographs is that large amount of pre-work that has to be done to make sure that the photographs are edited the way you like them and uploaded to the system. Once done, you can now have it cull and edit your photographs, which I haven't had a lot of great experience with yet. It did some culling for me. I wasn't really happy with the way it came out. You will notice that this is still in beta. So we're going to do the edit. Now, in order for you to use Imagen AI, you have to use Lightroom. And this is why. It's going to ask you for a catalog. So rather than taking your photographs and putting them in a folder for this to grab and edit, it actually uses the catalog from Lightroom to enable it to go out there and get the photographs. Now, once done, I go by collections. You could go by folders. My preference is collections. I just put a setup. Now, what I'm using it for here is I'm taking photographs from an event and loading them up that way. And you'll see the latest one that I did is right at the top here. I took 212 photographs over Memorial Day weekend. Now, again, this is something I would use for event photography or if I was taking photographs, for example, in the King's Garden, because the editing that'll be done is very specific to those photographs. And I will probably retouch them more afterwards, tweak this setting or tweak that setting, but it'll give me a good basis for a whole bunch of photographs very quickly. Now you can also go through here and say, okay, while I want this collection, you're gonna have a cropped or straightened. Haven't played with the subject mask yet, but you can say, I only want ones that were edited. Now in this case, these aren't edited photographs, so I would want to make sure that I don't have not edited ones. As I just uploaded this entire catalog, I don't have to worry about that setting. I did do some flagged ones, so I could go through and say, just give me the flagged ones. Again, I think I'm going to just have it do everything, but you can see you've got your options of ratings and labels and flaggings. So its original design was for wedding photographers or event photographers in general. You would go through and you would cull your photographs because you get charged on the photograph. So you're actually making sure that you have the just the photographs that you want ready to go. But you go through and you set them up. You click on what you want, and then you just click upload. Nope. After giving it a name, probably the most normal thing that I miss is the name of the project. And you upload the photographs. It validates them, it compresses them, and it sends them up. It's going to take a while for this to happen, so we'll come back after this is complete. While those images are processing, let's take a look at the amount that it's going to cost. So I'm on the pay-as-you-go, which is a minimum of $7 a month. It's 5 cents a photograph, and you'll see they have an annual commitment and an enterprise one. Again, as I said, this is designed mostly for people who do event photography to save you time. I do the events up at Fort Ticonderoga. I take pictures at those events, and this will help me get those pictures turned around a little quicker. They may not be the absolute final ones, but it would be usable to at least show off what happened at the event. For a wedding photographer, depending on how much editing they do and how well this comes out for them, this may be all they need to do. Now, I have noticed that with the events that I've done, it's come out really close to the final. In a lot of cases, I don't have to touch the photographs at all. But let's take a look here. So they have a calculator on here. I'm at 5 cents a photo. We did 212 photos, so it's going to cost me $10.60. You'll notice that they have other ones here, and they want you to talk to them about it. So that being said, it says save up to 25% with the fixed pricing, 18,000 photos a year. It's billed monthly per usage. Not sure where they're going with that. This has a fixed monthly charge for the $500,000. But if it were to save 25% photos and it was 18,000 photos, you could say, okay, well, if I got 18,000 photos, I doubt this goes that high. It does not. So we'll do a little quick math. Let me get my calculator out here. So if there were 18,000 photographs and they were at a nickel a piece, that would be $900 for the year. If the savings is up to 25%, so let's think that this is probably not 25% right off. So let's go with 20%. It would save you $180 a year. So it would cost you $720 instead of $900 for 18,000 photographs. Now think of how much of a time savings that can be to have this go out and do it for you. Basically what happens is the process takes your photographs, uploads the photographs, and then it has to process them. One of the things I want to take a look at here is to see if it actually goes through and handles the 400 megapixel photographs that I put in the mix. Okay, and as you can see from the screen, they have completed the uploading. So it used Adobe DNG Converter to compress the photos during the upload, and the uploading is complete. But down here, you'll notice it says download to review. Now, why is it important that you review the photographs? This is a learning system. So if you download your photographs, and you'll notice it's going right back into the exact same catalog it came out of. When you download your edits, you can then go through and make other changes to these edits. Obviously, they're all they did was apply edits to them. They haven't changed your photographs. They've just applied the edits. If you don't like the edits that are there, you can reset the photograph and start over from scratch. But as you go through and apply your edits to these photographs, it will then learn from those changes that you made to make itself better the next time around. So it's a constantly improving system. And when you get done, then it's going to have you open that Lightroom catalog again and go through and make edits. And we'll take a look at the photos in just a minute. The entire process took less than 10 minutes. So think about that for a moment, how long it would take you to go through and hand edit 212 photographs. Even if you did the edit and then you went back and processed them, how long would that really take? And when you get done, it will have you go through and upload your final edits back to the AI so it can figure out what you want. Now, this is a 400 megapixel image. As you can see over here on the side. So it was able to take that image and process it, which is amazing. Well, let's take one of the smaller images here. We'll go into develop. and we'll be able to see the setting changes that it did over here. It did contrast, it upped the exposure just a bit, and I think I want to argue with that and take it down just a bit. It looks a little hazy, so I'm going to run the dehaze up a little bit more to bring out that. To me, it brings out more texture, brings out that contrast a little bit more. Other than that, I think it looks pretty good. Let's go take a look at that 400 megapixel image, which again looks hazy to me. So we're going to do the same thing with the dehaze on that. And you'll see that it made no changes at all to this image, which is why it looks the way it did. It balked on the 400s. So 400 megapixel image is not something you're typically going to do in an event. But just to give you an idea, that's what happened with it. So if we take this photo and then this, if Lightroom will let me do it, and synchronize them, which it may or may not let me do because of the nature of the size of the photograph. It might be too much. Well, let's see what happens. All right. Go. Now, one thing I probably should have done before I put them up is to go through and take care of the lens correction down here. Oh, that one took care of it itself. Perfect. All right, so we take a look at the image now that we've processed it. And that looks so much better. Again, I applied the same settings that I just used on the previous image to it. Now, this is something, of course, you could do. You could take an event and process the event in such a way that you like what you got for a series of photographs. Because an event is usually shot, at least for me, in different lighting conditions. Same with a wedding, where you'd have some indoor and outdoor photographs. You'd probably break them up into sections, and then you could apply the similar change across all of them. But that's not what I want to do here. What I want to do instead is I want the images to look good across all of them. And Imagen will allow me to do that, because what it's going to do with these images is apply a generic change across all of them. But at the same time, it's going to use the AI to look at similar photographs and what settings were applied to try to mirror it to here. Now, again, here we have a picture of the fort. I would want to dehaze it a little bit more. And you can see that difference. This is where it started. It's about here, and we go into here, and it pulls out the greens a little bit more. Now, I haven't changed the saturation of the vibrance of it at all, but I just think it looks like a much better photograph this way. So let's back off to the entire library of picked photographs. We'll back these down, and we'll see what we got. And this is what we got for the final versions of the photographs. And again, we can always go look over here in the develop settings, and we can make whatever changes we want in here. Maybe I want that contrast to be a little bit higher for this photograph. But you can make your changes across all the photographs. When you get done with the photographs, then you upload those images, those edits, back up to Imagen. Imagen will take a look at what you changed, and then its AI will use those images to try to figure out what it would do in a similar situation going forward. And that's why you're putting up so many photographs to begin with. It takes the several thousand photographs up front in order for it to get a feel for your style of editing. And then it makes an attempt to match your style of editing. And then from there, it will go on and learn as you go. Now, as I said, these are pretty good. There's a few touches I would make here and there. Some of them came out a little more bright than I would prefer. But look at the colors in here. All right, we've got um, just a touch of increase on the vibrance. Saturation's not changed at all. Contrast is at 51%, or a point, or is at 51. And you'll notice before on one of the other photographs, it was only at 50. So it was making changes based off of the type of photograph I was taking. It really pulls out the stonework with that kind of setup. The clarity is at 15. It backed off the blacks, it moved the whites up a little bit. So you can see how it made changes to your photograph. And then you can make decisions from there as to whether this is what you would like to see in a photograph or not. Again, it's giving you a one less step. You've got these things kind of started so that you can then go through and say, okay, now that I've got this basic groundwork done, what would I do? Now, how does that differ from presets? As you'll notice, I have a whole bunch of presets on the side, and as I hover over them, you can see what it changes them to. Presets are nice, and they can give you a good image as you're going through. On the other hand, by having those presets in place, you're still doing it photo by photo. But there's a caveat to that as well. And that caveat is you can do an import in Lightroom and apply a preset to the entire thing. So another way that you could cut things down a little bit is to take a preset and apply it, but the presets are not intelligent. They're going to apply the exact same effect to every single photograph that comes in. Now, that may be good and it might not be good. It depends on the photograph. But by having the AI try to go through a little bit more and determine what is the appropriate change for this photograph, it takes it one step past these wonderful presets that you can get. And what I mean by that is the preset got you part of the way. Giving to Imagen AI gets you another part of the way. By the way, it's Imagen-AI. Gets you that little step further. So it takes one less set of changes that you're going to have to make. And now you're down into the real refinement to your particular style and what you like to see. It will get better as you go. The more photographs that you take and the more changes that you make to these photographs, the less changes you're probably going to have to make to the photographs when they come back from Imagen AI. So that's how this tool can be used to help you with your editing. I would think that for some event photographers, especially where your event is always more or less self-contained, for example, let's say a bodybuilding photographer. I haven't tested this out because I don't have 3,000 bodybuilding photographs to upload into the system yet. But I'm not sure how it would handle making that more three-dimensional image to it. But anything that you can do over here that can modify an image, it will be able to pick up on and handle. So your color grading and your contrasts and your exposures and whatever, the system will be able to pick up on and make those changes. So you shoot a bodybuilding event, you have 100 competitors, you've done 30 photographs each. That's 3,000 photographs right there. You give it to Imagen AI at a nickel a piece. If you're just using that low end, obviously you'd be in more of the higher end business class stuff at the 18,000. but you give it those 3,000 photographs, it goes through and processes it. It's back in under an hour, most likely. And all those photos pre-processed for you. And maybe you like some and maybe you don't. And maybe you just leave them all in that pre-processed state. And if somebody actually wants to buy those photographs from you, you can either leave them in that state or make some extra tweaks and then upload those back into Imagen AI and let it learn from your changes. So that's what I got for you this week. The little bit of technical on Imagen AI. And of course, later in the week, I'll talk about the pros and cons from my perspective, from both using it as a photographer